Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies. This time around, I got another haul from Umbrella, which used to be called Umbrella Entertainment, but they've just rebranded with a new logo and a new outlook and a whole bunch of really cool stuff that they've sent through for me to review. And I've watched the things I wasn't familiar with. There are a couple of things that I haven't seen yet, but that are in a box set the Umbrella released this month. But for the most part, I'm pretty much on top of everything. Let's start with the smaller stuff because I'm building up to a crescendo here. This one is an interesting, very small film that Umbrella is putting out in an edition of 500 copies. It's a movie by Jason Trost, who made the FP, an interesting game-based series of movies over the last 15 years, I suppose. But this one is a Lovecraftian movie set on a cruise ship called the Elder of the Seas, where the ship has become abandoned and the people on it have been taken over by the elder gods. It's a low budget film, mostly shot on green screen. It's called The Waves of Madness. It's a really interesting small film, incredibly imaginative, because apart from anything else, it's shot in wonderful black and white, but it's also shot with the format of a side-scrolling computer game. So the characters move from left to right on the screen, and the camera is kind of locked down and panning with them. So when the protagonist, played by Jason Trost himself, the filmmaker, goes to the ship, he's in a boat that you only see from the side. People move forward and backward, coming in and out of elevators, going to the different levels of this cruise ship. He's investigating the disappearance of these people and the Lovecraftian monsters that inhabit the ship now. It's a really interesting little film. It's got some great conceits in it. The character development isn't as deep as it possibly should be. But it's a low-budget film that really tries hard to do things in a way you have not seen before. And when the monsters manifest, there are some really interesting special effects used to give us the impression of really odd and really creepy and really dangerous creatures. There's the back cover. There are special features on this. There's an audio commentary with director, writer, and actor Jason Trost and actor and producer Tulay Wickham, a behind-the-scenes featurette, and an Elder of the Seas cruise promo and a trailer. So you've got the usual J card on this one. This, by the way, is Region B, it says. You've got a slipcover with that Cthulhu-like logo and a bit of a warning saying there's something on the ship. Inside you have alternative artwork. And there's the back. Inside you've got, of course, the reversible cover to get rid of the Australian censorship classification. I don't know why we need them anymore, but we do apparently. And there's a behind-the-scenes featurette booklet showing us how things were made. A deep dive into The Waves of Madness by Jason Trost. An idea of madness is the essay in here. Let's see if there's any cool pictures. Small release of 500 copies. It's got a few extras in there. And there's just so much imagination put into this film. Filmed on a green screen, as I said, but the post-production work and the imagination that this movie just lays itself with makes it something very different. And it was fun to watch it. So that's the first thing I've got for you. It's out on a standard edition from Umbrella, and you can pick it up from the Umbrella website or from the usual suspects. For some reason, I've kind of got a yearning for calamari as well. The next one's a 2006 Australian movie directed by Rolf, Heer, a South Australian filmmaker who was originally from the Netherlands but moved to Australia, has been making films here for a very long time. It's the first Australian feature film in Australian native language, in this case, Yolŋu Matha, and it's a film called 10 Canoes. I had heard about this film and I actually had a copy of it on DVD, but I hadn't got around to watching it yet, and I watched this one this morning, and it's a revelation. It's an incredibly interesting piece of storytelling. This is the collector's edition, though I believe there's a standard edition as well. Lots and lots of special features there, even down to making canoes and building huts. It's set up in Arnhem Land before white people showed up. And there are 3 different time levels. There's the time of the narrator, who is telling us the story in Yolŋu Matha with subtitles, who is played by Mr. Golpalil, the recently deceased Australian acting legend. He's telling us the story of a group of men from a tribe, and one of the young men is lusting after his brother's wife. His brother has 3 wives, he doesn't have any. And so one of the elders of the tribe, while the men are out and hunting for magpie geese eggs and magpie geese to bring back to the tribe, he's telling him a story about a much earlier time when a similar situation to this young man's situation happened, and the consequences of the lust the younger brother has for his older brother's wives, and the way the story plays out in this time before white people came to Australia. So you've basically got 3 layers of time in there. The narrator, the story of the young man, and the story being told by the elder to the young man. And while all this is going on, the story is not told in a strictly linear way, the way a Western person would tell. And right at the start, the narrator tells us how the Yolŋu people at the time saw the universe from conception onwards, and how they saw an afterlife, how they saw a pre-birth life, and their beliefs about the nature of the universe are established right at the start of the film. It's beautifully shot 10 canoes. There are different color grades used to determine which part of the narration we're in. The first layer of a story after the narrator is in black and white, and then the much older time where things happened originally is in beautiful saturated color. It's set up in Arnhem Land in the beautiful Northern Territory. It's an incredible film, and the storytelling is not told from a Western viewpoint. There are no white people in this. There are no implications that white people exist in this. It's told purely from the viewpoint of the Yolŋu people. And it's lovely. The narration is beautiful, and the analogies the narrator uses while telling the story are analogies based on the natural world around the characters. Inside, of course, we get some art cards. There's the main protagonist of the oldest time. There's one of the men in a bark canoe. And this movie pretty much tells you how to build a bark canoe if you ever have found yourself in Arnhem Land and had permission to do it. The area around is very swampy and not in the dry lands. And there are other tribes in different kind of geographical areas that are mentioned in the narrative. A lot of the actors are, and I've got to cover that up because Auntie YouTube will get a bit odd about it. There's one of the women from the tribe. There's one of the old uncles who is very fond of honey. And there is a group of the men from the tribe. And the narrative talks about all sorts of things like First Nations, the Yolŋu justice, and there is a crime committed almost accidentally, which needs to be addressed by the rule of law as it is within the worldview of the people involved, where it involves a spearing, and you can look that one up and find out about it. It's beautifully respectful, and it's told in a way that's totally unlike the storytelling from a Western tradition. Don't look at the comments on IMDb because there are a lot of ignorant idiots in the comments section of that talking about this movie. Inside, you also get a booklet, 10 Canoes behind the scenes experiences and art. And a lot of the actors working in this film some of them are no longer with us. They're artists, there are dancers. The main protagonist who commits the crime in error was actually an incredibly adept woodworker who's no longer with us. We get a little bit of the script, which was very loosely written. Production note, we need 10 Canoes origin of film. And it talks about the casting and the problems of crocodiles, leeches, and mosquitoes. And it shows how the Yolŋu people, when they were out away from the tribe, handled things like mosquitoes. They built platforms up in the trees and had little fires on each of the platforms so the smoke would scare away the mosquitoes. They have a lot of little layered details like that in this. It's a magnificent film. the restoration of 10 Canoes as well. It really is something extraordinary. There's no other film like it in the world. There's the slipcase. 150 Spears, 10 Canoes, 3 Wives, Trouble. It's shot magnificently as well. There's alternative artwork on that cover. There's the back. Again, this is Region B, though I don't know whether it is actually Region B or not. I've got no way of testing that. Reversible cover, of course. And we get a reversible poster for the film as well. This film's still living with me. I watched it this morning and it's still in my head. I'm still thinking about it whenever I have a quiet moment. It really is a magnificent film. Rolf Heer also made a movie called Charlie's Country after this, which I have a copy of and I haven't watched yet, but I'm inclined to watch it very soon. Incredibly good release from Umbrella this time around with 10 Canoes. The reason it came out this month relates to one of the other films that was released this month. And I'm convinced that I'll talk about that in a minute when I talk about the other film, which has a gangbuster release from Umbrella this month. I don't have a lot of room on this table. I really should have cleared more of it all. Now we've got a box set, which is not for the faint of heart. This stuff is going to challenge you. It says a box of uncompromising terror. New Extremity Collection Volume One. And you can see the new Umbrella logo there as well. 4 movies, a book, picture cards, some of which I can't show you, and a ton of extras. Now this again is the collector's edition. It's got all movies completely uncut and uncensored. 100-plus page booklet with essays by Alexandra West, Grant Watson, my good friend Grant, Jack Sargent and Matt Conopa, and more. Custom artwork from Melbs, 8 art cards, 2 A3 reversible posters, limited edition numbered release of 2,500. They expect this one to sell well, and I believe it will. There is the front with some of that original artwork. There's the back. I'll read you the special features as well before I tell you about the movies, because why the hell not? Audio commentaries with filmmakers and cast. Critical audio commentaries with Josh Nelson, Alex Nicholas, Alexandra West, and Dr. Lindsay Hallam. Making of featurettes, original interviews with cast and crew. Video essays by Anton Battelle, Nadine Whitney, hi Nadine, Kath Dooley, Zoe Rose Smith, Josh Nelson, and Alexandra West. Deleted scenes, storyboard, stills gallery, and trailer. So there's a lot of stuff, and the video essays are good. So let's have a look at the back. Underneath the card is a little bit of that. And I can't show you the back of that without putting my thumb over it. We've got Catherine Breillat's Anatomy of Hell. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to show you the back cover because it's going to be too awkward to do. And I can't even show you the inside of the cover because there's a lot of nakedness in it. And if it was up to me, I'd do it. But YouTube would spit the dummy and cry like a hungry baby. So that's one of them. Frontiers, which is a survival horror film. They're all French, by the way. This one's directed by Javier Gens. Haven't seen that one yet, but I hear incredible things about it. This one I have seen, and I've said on the channel that it's a superb movie, but it's not a movie I'm inclined to watch again because it is just that at the edge. Of course, it's Martyrs. And Martyrs is a movie that if you're into horror, you should see, but buyer beware. And the other thing about this one too is Umbrella had previously released Martyrs in an edition of their Beyond Genres with a booklet as well. So this is a previous Umbrella release, but it's being put together with the other new French Extremity movies that are released in Volume 1 here. The last movie we've got, directed by Alexandra Aya, is High Tension. Now, can I show you any of the back of High Tension? Yeah, I can. It's basically one of those stories where a couple of people go off for a weekend in the country and things go extremely wrong. Can I show you the inside? Yes, I can. I've got to be so careful with this release. It's cramping my style, but I've got to do it this way. And the reversible poster we've got is, and this one is for High Tension. There's one name for it, and there's the other. There should be another poster in here. I've just got to find out which video it's attached to. Aha. It's In Frontiers. There you go. This is not Paddington 2. This is definitely a serious horror movie. And we have Martyrs on the other side. But as you might suspect, there is a lot more. I've got to go through these art cards to see which ones I can show you. There's one for Martyrs, so that one's a safe one. Frontiers, which is about as far as I can go. Actually, there's another one for Frontiers as well. Can't show you the other one for Martyrs. There's that one for High Tension. There's that one which is pretty much me after I've been drinking coffee and spilled it on myself. Let's do that. Anatomy of Hell. And that one. So much I've got to cover up in this one. There's also a book, well over 100 pages, behind the scenes experiences, essays, and art. The Extremity was already at play by Jack Sargent. Let me see. The New French Extremity. There's an essay there by Grant Watson. I'm a bit shocked by this crowd because they have put a fully naked lady in one of the graphics for your essay. Yes, they have. I'm shocked, mate. I'm shocked. There are a whole bunch of other essays in here. It's basically a full book. I won't even call it a booklet. It is a book about these movies and about the New French Extremity, which is not to everybody's taste, but then there's no real movie that's to everybody's taste except Paddington 2. So we'll put that one away and then we'll go to the piece de resistance. The hardest thing about doing these reviews is putting everything back in the boxes. These are behind the scenes for you. Before I show you it, I'll show you the other versions of it I've already got. It's In Fright on 4K. I'll just lead with that. I've got a very ratty copy of the novel by Kenneth Cook, upon which it was based. Novel was put out in 1961. I've got from somebody else a DVD copy of it, a Blu-ray copy of it, which I'm giving to a friend. And now I have this chunky bugger, which is the latest release for Umbrella, limited edition of 2000. And it's as detailed as you're going to get about this film. The film was restored in 2000. The film was restored in 2009. And it's a movie that's had a fraught history here in Australia. Well, there's a few odd things about it to start with. Based on a novel by an Australian journalist. Directed by Ted Kotcheff, who was Canadian. Written by Evan Jones, who was a white guy born in Jamaica. Two of the stars are Australian. Gary Bond, who plays the main protagonist, and Donald Pleasance-Word, Australian. Set in Broken Hill, given the name Bundinyabba for purposes of not calling it Broken Hill. And at the time it came out, and one of the essays alludes to this, Australian critics and Australian newspaper people going, that's not us. This isn't us. We're not toxic like this. We're not this kind of people. And I spent a lot of time in the 1960s hanging around pubs waiting for my father. Yeah, there was that toxic masculine culture in Australia, in the suburbs. It might not have been in the leafy green areas around Paddington and Toorak, but it was there, and it was definitely a cesspool of, like I said, toxic masculinity. So I'll just lead with that. So there's the slipcase with the title. In some countries it was called Outback, which is an absolutely nothing title. It's like calling a movie Australia. And on the back it says, there's nothing else out here. There are so many features here. I will hold that up and I will freeze frame it so you can just see some of them. Just a ton of stuff here. It's an encyclopedia about this movie. This is, of course, the collector's edition. New Dolby Vision 4K remastered feature from original camera negative. Can't ask for more than that. 150-page hardback book with behind-the-scenes experiences and art. A 200-page hardback book of the original novel. Clear orange plastic slip cover over rigid case. Custom artwork, rigid case, slip case, books and poster designed by Time Tomorrow. 8 art cards, an A3 reversible poster. And it's a limited edition numbered release. Here's the inside. Two guys fighting outside Silverton by the look of it. There's the spine. There's the other thing. And now I've got to slip it out so we can actually see the movie. We'll get to the 4K movie last. There's the novel by Kenneth Cook. A little less shittier than my other version, which I'm still keeping, but there is the re-release of the novel. May You Dream of the Devil and Wake in Fright, which is where it got its title from. It's an old Irish blessing or curse. Welcome to the Outback. I think they should put that sign pretty much everywhere when you get out of the city to scare tourists and white people. Original screenplay by Evan Jones, lost and found by Anthony Buckley. 50 Degrees in the Shade by Peter Galvin. That's Not Us, an essay by Gregory Marks. Sunstruck A Goon Abroad, which is a story about a movie they made in the Outback starring Harry Seacombe. US Press Kit, Poster Gallery, and an essay on Wake in Fright by Tina Kaufman. So you get the original screenplay, complete, and lots of other essays in here. And there are your 2-up coins on the back. By the way, there's a whole bunch of other things that came with this and that come with the merch pack you can get for Wake in Fright. I'll get to them last. There's your slipcase. Beautifully put together this. The graphic design and everything is magnificent. 4K Ultra. There's the back of it. Let me just grab everything out here. I like the fact that it says 4K on the disc so you don't have to go fumbling for which one's which. And there's the Blu-ray. Inside, you also get a beer mat that says Wake in Fright, Bundinyabba, New South Wales, and the Bundinyabba Arms Hotel on the other side. I will never be using this as a beer mat. I don't want it to get ruined at all. So that's inside the case, and we also get the poster. One side that says Outback, the other side that says Wake in Fright. Do I even have to describe the movie? I know a lot of people were waiting for this release. It's a nightmare of a school teacher who is trying to get to Sydney from a very remote school he's working in to work off his tuition for being a teacher. He gets to Bundinyabba, gets drunk, plays 2-up, wins a lot of money, then loses a lot of money and ends up getting a crash space from some very, very disreputable people. And it escalates from there. Here are the art cards. They're in black and white, but I think that's appropriate. Supporting cast in this is fantastic. You've got Jack Thompson. You've got Donald Pleasance playing Doc Tyden, who is incredible in this film. You've got one of the last great roles from Chips Rafferty where he was playing against type, because Chips Rafferty in a lot of movies was the archetypal Australian hero, but playing the copper in Bundinyabba in this movie, he shows the flip side of the coin, the darkness in Australian masculinity. There's Gary Bond playing the young school teacher, Jack Thompson and Donald Pleasance. I don't know about you, but I really want this bench to stick in the backyard. Got that one. We've got the young school teacher with a woman. There he is waiting at Taboonda, which is where the school is. And there he is pissing all his money away on tour. Let me just put this stuff away and I'll show you all the extras. I really like this, by the way, because if at all your shelves are in the sun, your box isn't going to fade with this sunshade over it, which is kind of smart. In the collector's edition, I've just figured it all out. In the collector's edition, you get something that is an incredible extra. You get Wake in Fright branded 2-up coins and a 2-up board. I've also got another 2-up board that I picked up probably when I was going to the Outback somewhere. But these ones are branded with Wake in Fright. You can play 2-up yourself. It's illegal to play 2-up in Australia anywhere except on the 25th of April, which is Anzac Day, for historical reasons. But people do, and on here you've got a couple of coins marked heads and tails. The way 2-up works is you flip the coins up with the board, and people bet on whether you get 2 heads, 2 tails, or 1 of each. The house always has an edge, and it's down to the luck of the spin. So you get that for yourself, and you also get, he said, unraveling it from all of the stuff here, a t-shirt. There it is. It says Wake in Fright there. And on the back, just to keep everybody happy, it says Outback. A good black t-shirt, very well made. It's a quality t-shirt. These days, if I need a t-shirt, I'm either getting it from Umbrella Entertainment or Temu. good t-shirt there, very fine quality. Now, there is the merch pack as well. Let me just get the details of that. Souvenir merch pack for Wake in Fright, which I love. This is just, from our point of view, it's incredibly Australian. It's incredibly cool and incredibly odd. And the first thing you get is, it does the t-shirt. There it is. They're all, the t-shirt is Bundan Yabba merch. There it is on the back. And I'll get a close-up of that. There, that's the logo on there. Now, Middle-Aged Geek Girl, when I showed her this t-shirt, said, there is no way for you to have a white t-shirt because I always spill things on it, whether it's coffee or something else. If I have a white t-shirt, it's history very quickly. So I'm keeping that for special occasions. The other things in the merch pack, which are very, very Australian, and if you're Australian, you'll know this, is there's a commemorative collectible souvenir spoon. Country towns and other events all across Australia, if you go into any of the souvenir places, have souvenir spoons. And Bundan Yabba, which doesn't exist in the real world, and now has a souvenir spoon. The other thing that you get as a souvenir in Australian country towns, and my in-laws have a large collection of these, tea towels. And there's a Bundan Yabba tea towel. I can't even get it all in frame, but there it is. So you've got a Bundan Yabba tea towel for mopping up the dishes and things like that with. People call them dish towels in some places, but there is now a Bundan Yabba tea towel as well as part of the merch pack. Oh yeah, I got it wrong because there's one more thing in the collector's edition with the movie. Bundan Yabba beer glass. Which again, I'm not going to use, I'm going to keep because it's a little too precious and rare to keep there. But that's what you put that aside as something you get with the collector's edition with the movie. But to complete out the merch pack, we've got two wonderful things here. A fridge magnet bottle opener, branded again with that very 1970s style of graphic design for Bundan Yabba, and a stubby holder, which some people call a koozie for some reason. But you've got a Bundan Yabba stubby holder as well. So much stuff. And the funny thing is that the whimsical nature of the graphics on this belie the seriousness of the movie. And I kind of like the fact that they really went to town and went, yep, we're going to make things a bit whimsical and hide exactly how horrible and toxic Bundan Yabba is as a place. That's what I got for you this time around. Two Australian movies, and I did say I was going to make a comparison between 10 Canoes and Wake in Fright. Wake in Fright's about the toxic nature of white people in a mining town out in the desert where in the 1970s and 1960s, 1961 when the book was released, that toxic masculinity where the women had a separate lounge in the pub so that men could gather in the main part of the pub and talk. That went on until the 1970s almost. So you got that toxic white people out of their place and time. And then you've got 10 Canoes, which is about First Nations people integrating into the environment and having a much saner set of rules of law and cultural rules than the white people do in Wake in Fright. Now, I find that juxtaposition really interesting. So that's what I got for you this time around. Incredible releases from Umbrella Entertainment. There's just so much stuff here, and there's so much interesting media as well. And you can tell that all of the people who worked on these things were incredibly dedicated to doing it. The people I know who worked on these releases are incredible people, incredible movie buffs, incredibly generous with their time. If you ask them a question, they will answer it and they will help you. It's just an incredible month for Umbrella Entertainment releases. And the fact that they are featuring 3 Australian movies this time around, and the new French Extremity, which nobody else was touching with a barge pole, is to their credit. And thank you again to Umbrella Entertainment for giving me these ones to review. Even if you can't get the collector's editions, which will sell out fairly quickly, standard editions of these movies are fantastic to have. Having Wake in Fright, which was considered a lost film for the last 30 years of the 20th century almost, and then was re-released and found again and re-evaluated, is a miracle. It's one of the miracles of Australian cinema as it is in the 21st century. I'm still blown away by watching Canoes, I can tell you that. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Tell me which of these movies you're going to get. I know several people who are already just waiting for their delivery of Wake in Fright in particular. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member on YouTube or by becoming a patron at patreon.com/terrytalksmovies. Next up, we have Science Fiction Saturday once more and more stuff on that. Tomorrow, I'm going for another walk toward Melbourne on my travel channel, Terry Travels. An easy one this time. It's not as long as the last walk, but we're getting closer and closer to the city of Melbourne from where I started in Werribee. So you can enjoy that if you want to. Until next time, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Play some 2-up, but don't expect to win. And I'll catch you next time.